Okay, so Kimi K3 weights are officially out. It's the best open model out there. However, is it better than Opus 5 for long horizon tasks? Because Opus 5 actually beats Fable 5 on a number of key benchmarks. Now, in order to see, I'm going to test it on one single task. So this is a video that I recently posted on X, which kind of went viral. And the idea is that can these models generate fully explorable 3D worlds from a single reference image? The output that you're seeing is from Opus 5. It's the best output that I have seen so far, both in terms of the physics, the quality of visuals, and the interactions that it enables. Now, this is different than, say, a game that it has already seen in its code base. Every test is a new reference image and it has to create this whole world based on that one single image. And this is a long horizon task where the agent has to use a number of different subagents, orchestrate them. For reference, this took or used about 20% of my weekly Claude code limits to generate these visuals. So this is not just yet another game. It's really pushing the boundary of not only multimodal understanding, but planning multi-agent use cases and long horizon agentic coding. Okay, so beyond the usual benchmarks, my goal for this video is to actually put Kimi to the test using the exact same prompt. So here's the prompt. I shared this on X. Link to this is going to be in the video description. And if you look at this prompt, it basically encourages the main orchestrator to create multiple subagents, and each one of them is supposed to verify its own work. So this is going to be a very long horizon task with intentionally adding a lot of ambiguity so the model can make its own decisions. And this is where I feel like frontier models actually shine. Okay, so to test models, we're going to be using Cline, which is an open source harness for large language models. Cline is released under Apache 2.0 license and already has more than 65,000 stars on GitHub. So this is a very powerful harness. Now you can use this as an IDE extension. They have their own CLI for your terminal. And there is even an SDK that you can include in your own applications. And for open models, they offer Cline Pass, which is a single subscription with very generous quotas and reliable access to the best and latest open weight models. And you can use it with the IDE extension and CLI. So you don't need a separate API key for every provider. Within ClinePass, they have all the capable open models, such as GLM 5.2 and Kimi K3 that we are going to be testing in this video. Not only they offer one of the lowest cost subscription, their quota is also very generous, 2 to 5x usage compared to standard API rate limits. I have partnered with them for this video and you can get 80% off of the usual price. The link is in the video description. So in the rest of the video, we're going to be using the Cline harness. I'm going to be using the CNI and it's way easy to set up. We're going to use the first command in order to install Cline, and then the second command is going to be used for running the harness. Okay, so I have already installed Cline. We're going to just start it off and let me show you how to set this up. Then you have a number of options that you can use to log in. I kind of really like this neat animation, which changes based on where your cursor is. Okay, so for models, you have a Claude Opus 5. We're mainly interested in Kimi K3. So I'm going to select Kimi K3. Now, just like Opus, I'm going to just use high reasoning efforts. Cline is a modern agent harness. It basically provides you all the different capabilities that you see in other agent harnesses. Specifically, this is great at using open models. So this is the reference image that I'm going to provide. And Cline makes it very easy. You can just copy and paste the image into the terminal or CLI. And then I'm going to provide the exact same prompt that we used before. So we're going to run this. Okay, so Kimi K3 is pretty fast compared to when initially it was released on Moonshot. So right now it's going through the planning phase. Now keep in mind, this is an extremely difficult task. Opus used 20% of my weekly API rate limits in order to create the video that I showed in the beginning. Okay, so K3 came up with a process and plan. So it's going to use 7 different sub-agents and then an orchestrator. Okay, so here are the results for Kimi K3 in the client harness. Now, a couple of things. It's actually pretty smooth. The visual experience is pretty nice. Now, it's not as refined as what Opus created. However, I'm actually really happy with the way it turned out to be. Now, keep in mind, Opus 5 took almost 20% of the max subscription, and it did multiple different iterations. This is, I think, almost $10 worth in credits. So it's a really, really great start. Now, this has been running for quite a bit, and it's an intermediate checkpoint. So I think as the agent iterates on the design and look at the visual outputs, it will be able to improve them further. For a couple of passes, this already is pretty good. You can actually interact with the world. So for example, right now it's turning the well crank down and then turning it up, which is pretty neat. It's actually kind of amazing that these models are able to create these visuals using just simply Three.js. Okay, so here's another pass from Kimi K3 and the client agent. Now, as I said in the beginning, it's an iterative refinement process. So if you actually look at in the cart, even with the wheels, this time it added iron wheel tires, right? So this is basically looking at different components and trying to improve from one iteration to another. Now, in this iteration, the quality of the roof material is also improved quite a bit compared to the previous iteration, and the chimneys are looking a lot more realistic. Now, this is kind of the iterative development and refinement process that I like these agents to follow. One-shot outputs are not really great representation of the capabilities of the module and the agent around it. You really want the agent to be able to iteratively refine the output and make improvements based on your specifications. You can actually look at the individual state of every agent or sub-agent. Now, these were created on the fly. Each one of them have the agent ID, what its role is, what is the description, and the current status, whether it's working or it's setting idle. So Cline really gives you visibility into the internal workings of your agentic system. Okay, so here's actually the latest version of the world. Now, one thing which the agent realized was that in the original picture, those buildings were supposed to be really close to each other. So here's the reference image, and if you see, these buildings are really close to each other compared to what the agent initially produced. Now, based on that observation, it actually started pulling those buildings much closer, and it has also improved the visual consistency. So if we look at the iron wheel again, I think it's a lot more consistent compared to the initial iterations. It's still working through the buildings, but you can actually see that we're getting a lot better results, and this is much closer and looks to the original reference image compared to some of the initial generations. So the work is progressing really well, and this is where I'm going to stop it, but it's going to still iterate. But so far, I'm actually pretty impressed with what it's able to create. Okay, so Kimi K3 is a really capable open model. I personally think it's really great as a workhorse model, but when it comes to more of the design task, I would still rely on something like Opus 5 or Fable 5. But for actual implementation, this can be extremely well suited. Now, especially with an open source harness like Cline, you get a lot of value from these open models. So if you're interested in exploring capabilities of open models, I'll highly recommend to look at ClinePass, because this gives you access to all of the most capable open models under a single subscription. Now, anyways, do let me know how your experience with Kimi K3 is compared to Opus 5 and Fable 5. And do check out Cline. Anyways, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.